Well, more Russian military forces are reported to be moving into Crimea, and NATO ambassadors have also been summoned for emergency talks in the next few hours on the escalating crisis in Ukraine. Well, we can speak live now to our BBC correspondent Paul Kenyon, who's actually outside a Ukrainian army base just 15 kilometres from Simferopol, where there appears to be a standoff. Paul, just describe to us what situation you're in.
I'm standing outside a large military base in Crimea, as you said. As soon as we got here, there were several hundred Russian troops who have surrounded the base and are all around its perimeter. And inside, there is probably 30 or 40 Ukrainian troops standing behind a gate, backed up by a tank, and they're staring the Russians eye to eye. The Russian commander just walked over to the Ukrainian commander, and the two of them stood and looked at each other for a couple of seconds. And then the Russian commander said, "We need to have a meeting at 1:30. And the Ukrainian commander responded, "We'll be there." And I said to the Ukrainian commander, "What does he want from you?" And he said, "He wants us to remove our troops, and he wants us to leave our base, to abandon our base." And I said, "Will you do it?" And he said, "We will not surrender."
An incredibly tense situation there, Paul, and just an example of how people are keeping their loyalties.
Well, let me just explain a little bit more what's going on here, because, this is an absolutely extraordinary situation. There are a couple of people here who are military advisors who said they've never seen anything like it in their lives before. Little scuffles have been breaking out, very gentle scuffles, but between some local people who've walked up shouting, "Russia, Russia," shouting it in the faces of the Ukrainian troops who are standing behind the gate. There's a Ukrainian priest here who has been walking around and blessing the Ukrainian troops. We tried to speak to the Ukrainian troops, but they're standing there stony-faced and refusing to respond to questions. I said to one of the Russians, "What you're doing is illegal. This is an illegal occupation, isn't it?" And he just shook his head, but they won't speak either. But an extraordinary situation in the sense that there are two. I'll walk over to him. I'm standing literally in touching distance of a Russian soldier who's staring back at me as I speak to you. And he's standing here fully armed, and he is probably 10 feet away from the Ukrainian soldiers. And you can hear in the background, there is an Orthodox priest here singing. This soldier that I'm standing next to now, a woman ran over to him, an elderly woman, a few moments ago, and shouted, "You're here to kill us." And he just stood there and looked at her. And another Russian soldier came over and removed her out of the way, not in a forceful way. He was quite gentle with her, but he moved her to one side. But this is very difficult to see how this will resolve itself, with the Ukrainian commander absolutely intent that they will not give up this military base, and the Russians intent that they will take it over. It is extremely difficult to see how this will resolve itself. But this meeting at 1:30, which is, I'll tell you what time it is now, that's in about 30 minutes. We will hopefully go and try and record that and see what they say. But, this is, in a way, this is history playing itself out in front of the cameras and in front of the very limited media that are here. We were very fortunate to be here ourselves, in the sense that we came down here just on the off chance on a Sunday morning, and it just happened that we arrived as the Russians were surrounding the base.
An incredible situation. Paul, thank you very much for bringing us up to date with that. A standoff just around 15 kilometres outside of Simferopol.